I'm not saying it will go away. I'm a print fan. But for example, if they're a weekly, they might go to biweekly, right? Or a biweekly might go to monthly. I do think print is a democratizing force for those who don't have internet, et cetera, and for older folks. But even younger folks appreciate that print as a more permanent record that they can't destroy, right? It's digital, they can take away in a minute. So I do think it's always going to be on the plate. But digital is definitely expanding. And there are great opportunities to help LGBTQ media diversify their audiences and therefore their revenues.
Jim, you had a question. Oh, sorry, Dana. Dana, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that newsletters, as Tracy mentioned earlier, are becoming a really important asset for all of us to have. And a big majority of the folks that Tracy and Hannah spoke to do have some form of a newsletter that they're sending out to their readers.
And you know who has great newsletters? Windy City Times. Okay, Jim, you have a question.
All Jake.
I was just going to ask if there's a regional difference between...
Kind of talking to your mic, Jim.
I'm sorry. If there's a regional difference between where you see strength or weakness, or is this pretty universal, the way you've outlined it?
Well, there's 18 states that do not have a known LGBT original content local reporting. Yeah. Those are some in the mountain, what do you call that? The Mountain West?
Mountain West, yeah.
Mountain West and the South. But there are some highlights, like Q Notes in North Carolina. What if they got some resources to cover South Carolina, right? What if someone in Minnesota could cover the next states over? Mm-hmm. There are opportunities to work with community centers or existing local media that might expand into LGBTQ coverage if that's ever going to be a thing in those places that have gaps. But even though we show that 18 states don't have LGBTQ media, the fact is if you have one outlet in one town in a state, that doesn't mean the whole state's getting covered.
Right.
All right. So the gaps are in the millions, right? Millions of LGBTQ plus people and their allies and families have no source of local news that is sensitive and authentic to their communities. Right. And how we figure that gap out is partly digital, right? Digital reach is so much cheaper to do. Mm-hmm. Partnering with other local entities and national entities that have some footprint in there. Mm-hmm. So I would say those are the main gap areas, South and Mountain West, but the whole country has needs.
And I suppose, I used to be a media buyer. You would think, well, what percentage of the community is being penetrated, being reached by the media that exists? But these numbers sound lower than I was thinking. Like for a national advertiser, you would say, "Gosh, how much of this market can I really reach?" But it's limited right now, like you say, because resources are so small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I want to give some time to that. What are the goals now? Because the reach is something that we think about here a lot at the Gailey Show. Like, yes, we're based in the Twin Cities. And then WCPT folks, 820, thank you. You brought us on there. And so we're trying to really look at those two metros. But reaching out into greater Minnesota has been a thing for us of, like, how do we bring in folks and interviews and covering what's happening out there. And so what is the goal of what you're happening? What do you hope happens next now with this data and this report?
Well, I'd like Dana to go first about the role that News is Out is also playing in this ecosystem and collaboration, and then I'll talk about what we hope comes next.
Well, thanks, Tracy. Well, the good news is collaboration is a really big talking point, and a really big positive point that we've found from this report. Looks like a lot of outlets are looking to collaboration, are open to collaboration, and that could be editorial, that could be shared services. So if maybe you can't afford a particular position, but you really need it, maybe there are a couple different outlets that might be able to partner up with you and you could have shared services model. So News is Out is a collaboration of 7 of the leading LGBTQ plus publications around the country. And we've been going strong now for over 3 years. Tracy is one of our founding members. So, and thank you to Tracy, because Tracy hired me. Appreciate it. Eternally grateful for that. But really, we've been able to, I am
so sorry. This is the problem of radio. We've reached our time. As they're showing me, they're like, we got to wrap it up. I'm going to have you both back because clearly there's way more to unpack here. So the report is the LGBTQ plus Media Mapping Project. Thank you, Tracy and Dana, for joining us today to talk about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, on AM 950, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Up next in Chicago, it's Choose Views with Richard Chu. Until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
Hey, looking for a winning team on a winning station? You found it right here on WCPT 820 AM. Join the marvelous one, Dan Marver, the palacious one, Paul Shivari, Sports on the Couches, Mike Mercado, and yours truly, Devin Tingle, every Sunday at 9 p.m. for the Sports Cubicle, where the inmates run the asylum, and the boss, well, they yell at us on Monday morning because we're working overtime. Looking for your late night dose of sports talk radio? We're here. Join us on the Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights at 9 p.m.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
Those of you who are hate listening, like the rage, the anger has got to be exhausting. So I want you to also take care of yourselves. Maybe take a step back. Try to be mindful about why you're calling people names online. I got called some more names today. I think they are getting a little bit tired. Maybe some of them are starting to have the fart around and find out effects.
Patty Vasquez, weeknights 5 to 7 on WCPT 820.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Out Chicago.
How are you doing,
I am
Ellen Miller?
immersing myself in as many positive experiences, i.e. theater, music, whatever I can do.
Look, I keep going back to doing your joy homework.
Yes.
During this point, joy is a practice. And you have to actively seek out the things that bring you joy.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820.
This is WCPT 820, where you can hear The Stephanie Miller Show every weekday, 8 to 11 a.m., because facts matter.
AP News, I'm Haya Pinjwani. Jimmy Kimmel returned to late-night TV last night. Speaking to his audience, Kimmel said he learned one thing from the comedians that came before him.
The government threat to silence a comedian the president doesn't like is anti-American. That's anti-American. And I am so glad we have some solidarity on that from the right and the left and from those in the middle like Joe Rogan. Maybe the silver lining from this is we found one thing we can agree on.
That audio is courtesy of ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports satellite images indicate Iran is working on missile production sites.
According to satellite images analysed by the AP, Tehran has begun rebuilding missile sites targeted by Israel during its 12-day war in June. But experts say a key component is likely still missing: the large mixers needed to produce solid fuel for the weapons. Reconstituting the missile program is crucial for the Islamic Republic. Tehran believes another round of war with Israel may happen after the war decimated its air defense systems. Experts say obtaining the mixers is a goal for Tehran, particularly as it prepares for possible UN sanctions to be reimposed on the country later this month. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Co-founder of the Autism Science Foundation, Allison Singer, says President Trump's announcement on Tylenol causing autism doesn't match scientific research.
We have done dozens and dozens of studies looking at vaccines as the potential cause of autism. We've looked at MMR to see if children who received MMR vaccine had a higher rate of autism. There was no relationship.
5 years ago, the Food and Drug Administration warned the use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like aspirin or ibuprofen might cause rare but serious kidney problems in a fetus. This is AP News. AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on a Middle East debate at the UN yesterday.
The UN Security Council meeting on Gaza highlights growing isolation of the U.S. One representative after another expressed horror at Hamas's attack and Israel's ongoing military offensive in Gaza. Mohammed Ishaq Dar is Pakistan's foreign minister.
Gaza has become a graveyard for the humanity as well as for the global conscience.
U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz says it's regrettable the council convened the meeting on the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah.
The charade is disappointing.
Waltz says the push for Palestinian statehood gives Hamas incentive to keep holding hostages. Ambassador Danny Danon says Israel is committed to continue the war.
Until we bring back all the hostages and until Hamas is out of the game completely.
The U.S. has rejected resolutions calling for an immediate ceasefire. I'm Ed Donahue.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high in the low 70s. Winds out of the northeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop, a low near 58. Thursday, a slight chance for rain showers. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops, high of 74 degrees. And by Friday, mostly sunny. We'll see a high around 80. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 68.
Get organized with new Dakota Closets storage solutions at Menards. Dakota Closets are versatile and can be installed in any room, from home offices and laundry rooms to walk-in or reach-in closets and so much more. Use the You Create Closet Planner available in-store or online to design a closet system that maximizes your space and matches your style. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
After my wife died, I felt like I lost everything, including my love of fishing. But one day, my granddaughter called, and I realized I still had a lot to look forward to. I got referred to a psychiatrist who explained depression can happen to anyone. Getting help doesn't make me weak. It makes me stronger. I just wish it made me better at fishing.
Mental health care is working for Diego. See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Chins up and shoulders back. Welcome to the September 24th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. Yes, it's time to fight, progressives. Got to stay in the fight. Got to find something to fight for. The number, of course, is 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, heartlandsignal.com, Facebook Live, of course, and again, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Email me at richard@wcpt820.com. And follow me on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, and Substack. That's where you can find me. And, of course, you can catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. That's where you can check us out. So make your way there. And then, of course, you can get Choose Views featured interviews. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, and Out Chicago and our other shows and interviews. Make your way to the heartlandsignal.com digital platform. That's where we have a lot of cool stuff. Derek Van Orden, is a representative, U.S. representative in Wisconsin. This dude is really, he's really becoming a pain in the backside. And I won't say he's making a fool of himself, but he's making a fool of himself. And he's being harsh and difficult. And we've got a couple of posts and articles over there talking about if employees, he's threatening to pull federal funding from the Mayo Clinic. And anyone who has employees that speak ill of Charlie Kirk. You know what, Representative Van Orden, I'll speak ill of who I feel like is speaking ill of, including people that I might favor if they do something wrong. And they should speak ill, not ill of, but they should clean up on aisle 7. But this garbage, you're going to pull funding, federal funding from a hospital that serves all communities. When you check in at the Mayo Clinic, they don't slow down and go, "Hey, Henry, are you Republican, Democrat, or Independent? Did you vote for whomever? Are you a fan of Charlie Kirk?" No. So listen, Wisconsin, y'all need to get rid of. I'll say it this way so that I can say it from the back of my throat. Wisconsin voters, you all need to get rid of Representative Derek Van Orden. How about that, Representative? I'm not speaking ill of you, but I'm speaking matter of fact. Wisconsin voters, you all need to get rid of him in 2026. Find somebody better. If it's another Republican, at least don't have somebody threatening to take federal funding away from a hospital that serves people from all over the globe to improve their health, many of which are Republicans. Don't stand for it, Wisconsin. Let's see what kind of guts Wisconsin has. That right there alone is enough for you all to say he's got to go. I mean, give me a doggone break. Representative Derek Van Orden, yes, Richard Chu from Chu's Views in Chicago said it. You need to be voted out of office for threatening people with their jobs that serve a community that needs their medical and organizational and financial prowess. How dare you? How dare you threaten a hospital to defund them because they speak not what you want to hear? So they can't. So what's the definition of speaking ill about Charlie Kirk? You mean that I said that based on his own words and actions that he spoke as a racist, as a sexist, as a misogynist, with hateful language against Jews and Muslims and black folks and other people of color and women? Do you want me to? So where's the ill of that? Anyhow, he's got to go. Done with these pie back weak A Republicans in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. That's unacceptable. And I said it loud and clear from the back of my throat. All right. Today's guest. I mean, I saw that, Henry. I'm like, oh, Lord, what I can't say, I won't say. Today, here with us on the show, we will have Jodie Wiederkehr will be with us in studio. She is the executive director and founding member of the Chicago Alliance for Animals. Looking forward to talking with her. She'll be here with us to chat about some things that we all need to be aware of when it comes to animals, not just pets. Kurt Hurner, our good friend from Akron, Ohio, will be with us with a special guest that's running for a state seat. Mike Roberto will be our guest in the 6:30 hour. I'm sorry, in the 7 o'clock hour. Jodie will be here with us at 6:30, and Kurt and Mike will be with us at 7. And then our good friend Kurt Mullett will be with us in the 7:30 hour. He and I are going to chat up this whole Jimmy Kimmel thing and have some fun with it. So that's who we've got with us for our show today. And so when I saw this thing about Van Orden, I thought, you know what? Let me. We got a couple clips that we want to bring to you. The first one, I think, kind of says it all because a lot of people want to know when did things in recent time go sideways. So we've got a clip for you when folks lost their minds.
I'll tell you the exact moment I knew we were in trouble. The exact moment. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee on the football field and you all lost your minds. I knew right then it wasn't about freedom at all. You all started screaming about what about our veterans? This is so disrespectful. He's so disrespectful. Politics have no place in sports. blah, blah, blah. Across the field, you all went wild. You lost your minds. Where's that energy right now? Where's that don't tread on me crowd? Where are y'all at? Where's the hostility? As some deranged old billionaire who was best friends with the most notorious child trafficker of our time destroys our country. Where's that energy? Where's that hostility? He has literally came out and said, I'm going to take away your freedom of speech, period. And y'all are dead quiet. But if a black man kneels on a football field, y'all lose your mind. It makes no sense. It's not about freedom. I said what I said. Y'all take care of yourself. Love you.
Yeah, it's not been about that. And I don't know if the starting point of this craziness was with Colin Kaepernick. I'd say it was before that, but that's his position and that's his point. But I take the other meaning from what he said is, you know, where are people in terms of being up in arms? Where are the political leaders in terms of this? And candidly, where are everyday folks? I know there's folks out protesting and we need more of that. So I get where he's coming from. And I just felt like, yeah, you know, that's the kind of energy that everyday folks need to have in pushing back. And it's not us. When I say it's not us, it's not brown-skinned people. It's not, you know, left-handed people. It's not the immigrant communities. You know, and we have another clip that we'll hit you with before we go to this break that leans into, you know, these weekend guys like Derek Van Orden, and speaks to the fact that it's not us. It's not us.
Race relations in America will be resolved once poor white people realize that rich white people f*** them over too, and that it wasn't immigrants or black people. There's a reason that West Virginia and the Appalachian Mountains and the Midwest have all been abandoned. And it's not because of black people or Mexicans or Jews. It's because other white people, rich capitalist billionaires, took advantage of you, worked you into the ground, and then abandoned you when there was better pasture. It wasn't other poor people who f***ed you over. Donald Trump is not a Jewish man or a black man. Elon Musk is not a black man. Jeff Bezos is not a Jewish man. They're capitalists. Fight back against your real enemy. The left is with you. Blacks, Mexicans are with you. You need to be with yourself. White man, fight back.
I mean, it's not us, y'all, and it's not some strong, well-educated, smart woman who's decided to get out there and do her thing. It's the narrow-minded, feckless guys that are so upset with things not being just laid out for them, given to them. Talk about legacy. Talk about these people that are so up against DEI and so up against balancing the scales. It's because of their fecklessness. It's because of their mediocrity. So there you go. Let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM. From Warren County, North Carolina, I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Turn up the heat on every drive with a Porsche from the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Our tariff-free vehicles are available for immediate delivery, like the 2025 Porsche Cayenne. And right now, lease the 2025 Macan Electric for only $949 a month for 39 months. Don't miss out on the $7,500 EV tax credit ending September 30th and grab your electric Porsche today at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. $4,929 excludes tax, title, license, and dock fee. No security deposit required. Expires 9/30/2025.
Hey, Tom Harbin here. Mark your calendar for Wednesday, October 15th at my favorite deli restaurant, Max and Benny's in Northbrook. I'll be there talking about and signing copies of my newest book, The Last American President. This is a free event for all my WCPT listeners. Just register on WCPT.com. Attendance will be limited to the first 100 people, so please go to WCPT.com to register today. Max and Benny's, 7 p.m. Wednesday, October 15, 461 Waukegan Road in Northbrook. Tag, you're it.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show, and thanks for being with us this morning. Yeah, I came out of the gate a little hot. Congratulations to Adelita Gravolia, a Democrat that wins a 7th District special election in Arizona. She trounced the competition 2-1, almost 3-1 in terms of votes. And this is the kind of success that we need to have. State legislatures being won by Democrats who want to get things done for that state. And the 7 o'clock hour, our guest, Mike Roberto, is running in Ohio, wanting to do this, accomplish the same thing. We win state legislatures, watch what happens to the federal elections. So we cannot sleep on. We have to stay fully engaged on getting involved with local elections. And when we talk about, people say, well, Richard, what can I do right now? Get involved in a local election, meaning a state election. Local, if you can, in terms of your mayor or your county officials or whatever, but get involved in a state election. I've been saying this last year. Henry, you remember I was talking about it's the House, it's the White House, the House, the Senate, governor's mansions, and state legislatures. Did I not say that? I did. So we don't have to wait until next November to start to have some things happen. Listen, y'all, we can start winning. We have to keep winning these kinds of elections. We win these state seats, and we start to change. Look at what happened. Look, we've had a number of folks on, and we're going to have more on. In fact, as we get closer to the end of the year and get into 2026, we're going to keep talking more and more to the people that are running for state offices. We take back that territory. We take back those state seats. That is one of the best tools we have to blocking gerrymandering. And I know there's folks out there that always want to get on my backside about, Chew, you don't talk enough about the Electoral College. And I'm teasing. I'm being a little snarky this morning. But we can't get that back until we change certain things on a local level. So it's not, you can't just yell and scream about, you're not doing. We have to systematically start to take things back. These state elections, Henry, and you know it as well as anybody, we start picking these off, then we have the ability to block. Because, see, here's the thing, and this is why this bears itself out. It wasn't Democratic U.S. congressional leaders that came from Texas to Illinois to block the gerrymandering and redistricting. State reps, right, Henry? They came here. So that just shows why it's important. If we want to fix some of the bigger issues, we got to use some of the local tools and get those knocked out. And then we start having an impact on a national level. So let's keep that effort going. Again, congratulations to Miss Gravolia, Adelita Gravolia. You can Google her, send her some love, find out what you can do to help her in her work. And find a state election that you can get involved in that will help to move this needle. And we can do that if we get involved. So there you go. Before we went to the break, I was talking about the sort of mediocre, whiny, feckless white guys who were whining and skippity skip. If you don't believe me, you think I'm not. Whether you do or you don't, if you want some evidence of mediocrity and feckless and just bumbling whatever, look at the clips from Donald Trump at the UN session. Some of the most unhinged garbage from the sitting president of the United States, the so-called leader of the free world. If that's not feckless and garbage, you know what? His presentation was worse than what people wanted to say about Joe Biden's presentation at the debate last summer. Did y'all hear me? Mainstream media, where you at? I want to know. And I'm restraining myself from talking about Jimmy Kimmel because I'm going to wait till Kurt Muller's with us in the 7:30 hour. But the comedians should have a field day. But the mainstream media should do their job. See, this is where I go back to. It wasn't about a variety of things that a lot of people wanted to make it about. The mainstream media isn't. They're still not doing their job. In front of other world leaders, the dude that is sitting in the White House, y'all, was and again, I'm being careful to not label, but to describe the action. He performed in an unhinged manner that amounts to a bunch of foolishness. Talking about the shape of our border, like he was describing the shape of a woman or something. I'm not being sexist, so nobody get upset. But come on, y'all. And the air, and good Lord. But yet we can't call that out. We can't talk about that truth, Derek Van Orden. We can't talk about when someone says stupid stuff. Not calling him stupid, but I'm saying he said stupid stuff. So that comes from, in my observation, feckless dudes, Caucasian dudes who are narrow-minded, sexist, racist, misogynist, and full of a whole bunch of privilege to be able to get away with that kind of mediocrity. It's just embarrassing. You know, I've been blessed to have some friends from different parts of the world outside of the United States of America and North America, for that matter. And I get texts and emails from them and messages every now and again that will just say, yo, Rich, what is up? Y'all supposed to be the beacon of light, the light on the hill. It's a flashing red light. Yeah, I mean, I just like, oh, Lordy. But there you go. That's when people say, but that's not who we are. Yeah, it is. It's exactly who we are. And 78 million Americans said, yep, that's what I want, dude. All right, Henry, let's hit them with a couple of Choose Views news items on this September 24, 2025. Office Depot is going private. Depot and Office Max owner ODP is being acquired by an affiliate of private equity firm Atlas Holdings for roughly $842 million. The news sent ODP shares surging yesterday. Atlas's plan to take ODP private comes after a rocky few years for the office supply retailer, which has been shifting away from retail stores and doubling down on business-to-business solutions. Earlier this year, Atlas raised $6.45 billion with the intention of reviving struggling companies. OECD sees worst tariffs ahead or coming. A resilient world economy will likely slow in 2026 as countries confront the real cost of tariffs, a leading World Economic Organization predicted yesterday. The Paris-based OECD reaffirmed earlier estimates that global growth will drop from 3.2% to 2.9%, with the U.S. expansion shrinking from 1.8% to 1.5%. Because countries front-loaded shipments ahead of the global trade war, they've avoided the worst outcomes so far, but that runway has largely expired. Slower growth and weaker employment in most major economies should limit inflation, though the OECD warns banks to remain vigilant, which is one of the reasons why too much messing around with the interest rates is a problem. And Jerome Powell recognizes that. That's why he stood as long as he can to hold them where they were. Spirit plans widespread furloughs. It announced that it will furlough 1/3 of its flight attendants as it fights to survive for its second bankruptcy this year. Roughly 5,200 flight attendants, in addition to the 800 attendants who have already been taken voluntary leave. Voluntary furloughs of 6 to 12 months will begin November 1st and involuntary December 1st. The airline is slashing costs and plans to reduce flying capacity by 25% in November. It also seeks $100 million in savings from the pilots union. And last but not least, as we mentioned, Jerome Powell, he warns on Fed challenges. Jerome Powell said the central bank faces a, quote, challenging situation navigating interest rate policy while balancing the risk of elevated inflation and the slowing labor market. In a wide-range speech yesterday in Providence, Rhode Island, Powell said that stock prices appear to be, quote, fairly high valued, but also noted that it is not a time of elevated financial stability and risk-taking. Powell's speech, which didn't provide signals about future rate cuts, coincided with the sell-off in equity markets, with the S&P retreating from an intraday record. So he's concerned, and I know that his concern is that messing around with interest rates now may look good to soothe the baby in the White House. But the long-term impacts are going to be more threatening. So there you go. A couple Choose Views news items on this Wednesday, September 24th, 2025. All right, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 and 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
Store closings on pace for new record. That, of course, would be small businesses because they're being just wiped out by Republican economic policies, as they always are. 10 of the last 11 recessions began during Republican presidencies. That's not a coincidence. Republicans love recessions. They want the economy to go into the tank. People go, well, why? Aren't they invested in the stock market? Aren't they, don't rich people have all their money in the stock market? Why would they want a recession? Why would they want the market to crash? Well, yeah, they want the market to crash because when the market goes down, it doesn't hurt them, frankly. When the market goes down, what it does is it creates an opportunity for them to buy stock cheap because the market will go back up. Democrats will come back into power and they'll put the economy back together.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
As a veteran, you get a lot of advice, but wisdom's harder to come by. A lot of people imagine themselves in our shoes without understanding the weight on our shoulders. The truth is, few can understand the pressure of finding your own way after serving in the military. But few isn't none. Steady yourself. You're not alone. You've got support. Learn more at maketheconnection.net.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see a high in the low 70s. Winds out of the northeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop, a low near 58. Thursday, a slight chance for rain showers. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops, high of 74 degrees. And by Friday, mostly sunny. We'll see a high around 80. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 68.
A frog in boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As veterans, we tell ourselves the lie that we can handle anything. We let the water boil. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Yes, it is September 24th, 2025. And I had to make a couple of points before we went to that break about the fecklessness of the folks on the right and their so-called attempt at leadership. It does not exist. It is a myth. You just got a bunch of people running around and lashing out at the country, not leading, lashing out, and it's clear. But we'll press pause on that a little bit right now. Today, live local and progressive Ed Yonka of the ACLU of Illinois will be filling in for Joan, and his guests include Jeet Heer, national affairs correspondent for The Nation and host of the weekly Nations podcast, The Time Monsters. Ari Berman, national voting rights correspondent at Mother Jones and the author of Minority Rule, The Right-Wing Attack on the Will of the People and the Fight to Resist It. Bill Scheer, a politics editor of the Washington Monthly and host of the history podcast When America Worked. And Aziz Huq, professor of law at the University of Chicago Law School. It's live, local, and progressive, 2 to 5, Central, WCPT, AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty will be taking your calls. Patty Vasquez, that is. We'll be taking your calls. And during the 6 o'clock hour, participate in the Up North podcast with Minocqua Brewing Company owner Kirk Bangstead. Appleton, Wisconsin radio host Ben Cominos, political organizer Amy Thomas, Wisconsin State Senator Chris Larson, and American Federation of Teachers Wisconsin President John Shelton. So that's Patty's show definitely tonight. You want to check it out, of course, here on WCPT, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. All right, guys. Today we are so honored to have one of our great just voices when it comes to an issue that a lot of people don't talk a lot about. And, everybody talks about how we want to be mindful and caring for our pets. But one of the things that doesn't happen in terms of the broader conversation is what our society is doing when it comes to care for animals. And with us this morning is kind of one of our very own, Jodie Wiederkehr, who is the executive director and founding member of the Chicago Alliance for Animals. Jodie and I have been trying to get together and have her in studio for a few weeks now. But Jodie, good morning. Welcome to the show. Glad you could be in the studio this morning. And we're going to have a guest with us as well. Is Steve good to go?
Yeah.
Good morning. Well, good morning, Jodie. So let's introduce Steve. Steve, are you there?
I'm here, Richard.
All right. So, Jodie, since you're my guest, I'll let you introduce your guest.
Okay, great. Well, Steve Hindy is the founder and president of Showing Animals Respect and Kindness, or SHARK for short. And SHARK has been fighting against animal suffering and illegal animal cruelty for decades. So I've been working with Steve again for about a year now, and we are working on multiple campaigns where the law is flagrantly being broken. Mm-hmm. So Steve does good work, and Sharks is really set apart from a lot of the major animal rights organizations because we document the truth. And I'll let Steve talk about that, but that is Steve Hindi and Shark.
Hey, Steve, welcome again to the show. Glad you could be with us this morning.
I'm very happy to meet you, Richard.
One of the things that and I said this in the opening, we think about, sort of pet care and kindness to kindness to pets. When people say kindness to animals, that's oftentimes perceived, and I'm going to say this with a little bit of liberty here. That's oftentimes perceived as pets that we have.
I agree.
But not the broader sense of fairness and respectful treatment to all animals. And I think that you guys, being the experts in this space, can kind of help the audience better understand what that really means. Jodie.
I think you're right on there. There are a lot of people in life, in social media, who say they love animals, but then they don't really. And they're talking about, like you said, their cats, dogs, rabbits, horses, but they don't think about the bigger picture. And it's all related. So that's one thing I would encourage people to think about is, all animals feel the same suffering, the same pain. And there's so much cruelty going on that people are unaware of, which is why I have my show, If Cage Walls Could Talk. It's all about exposing how corporations and industries get paid millions of dollars to harm animals. And what Shark does and what Chicago Alliance for Animals does, and our main campaigns right now are fighting against cruelty that is illegal. Mm-hmm. So existing law is not even being enforced. We're educating public officials and legislators that the laws are not being enforced, and absolutely nobody is willing to do anything about it. Everybody's pointing the finger at other agencies saying, I can't do it.
So, Steve, tell us a little bit about, your involvement with Shark and how and what is important for listeners to take from that.
Well, at one point, they claimed that Illinois had one of the best humane laws in the country, but now, when you get into dealing with some of the really tough issues that maybe have political connections or whatever, then all of a sudden they say, oh, well, the law doesn't cover that. In Illinois, we do have a great humane law as it's written. And what Shark has been dedicated to for decades is, rather than going out and protesting, we do a little bit of protesting, but not very much. But what we really want to do is go out and video document what's going on, whether it's canned hunting or just somebody who's keeping animals in very poor conditions. For us to get the documentation so that we can simply show it to anybody, the public at large, law enforcement, legislators, the courts. So, and everybody gets to make up their own mind about the validity of the issue and what can be done about it. So that's been our focus for decades.
So, when I think about this, and I'm thinking about it from the perspective of people who may not. This is what I think people see. Going back to the analogy of pets versus but in the conversation about animals in general. The thing that popped into my mind, and I sort of struggled with how do I want to ask this question, is our society has for such a long time utilized animals for productivity in many ways. And of course, one of the things that you guys have really been pushing against is horses, and not against horses, but pushing against how horses are used as part of our, livelihood in many parts of the country. Here in Illinois, part of our state is a agricultural state, and horses are on farms that are part of that process, and throughout the rest of the country. How do you work around, navigate, have the conversation with folks that's a part of their livelihood when it comes to, and horses just kept coming to mind when I thought about this over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I read somewhere about how, and I don't remember where I read this, but that horses are have been one of the most abused animals in our lifetimes. And you look back, and it really is true, and it's still the same today. It's one of the reasons why the Chicago Alliance for Animals banned horse carriages back in 2020.
Right.
What we're dealing with, and what CAA and Shark is going after, is not basic animal agriculture. We're going after abuses that, again, are illegal. As Steve mentioned, the Illinois Humane Care for Animals Act prohibits certain things. It prohibits abuse, cruel treatment, torment, overworking, and denying veterinary care to animals. And what we're seeing at these events called steer tailing, which is one of our biggest campaigns, Shark's biggest campaigns, is horses being reined so harshly, and they have all the metal and the bit in their mouth. And the men who are participating in these events yank them for hours. Sometimes these events go for 8 to 10 hours. Mm-hmm. They yank on them constantly, and the animals you can just see, they're rearing up. They're in so much pain. They're being beaten. We have a lot of video footage of them being whipped in the face, hit in the face. Steve, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, anybody who wants to see the activity, it's called steer tailing, and we have a website up called steertailing.com, just steertailing.com. And you'll see, it's both horses and steers. The horses, people on horseback chase the steers, grab the tail, pull the tails to upend the animals. And these steers are running at full speed. When you have a 650-pound animal that comes crashing to the ground at full speed, nothing good comes out of that. Even us, we weigh a fraction of that. And, if we're running at full speed and somebody whips us around and we come crashing down, we get hurt. Yeah. They get hurt too. And the law, the basic part of the Humane Care for Animals Act states no person or owner may beat, cruelly treat, torment, starve, overwork, or otherwise abuse any animal. Steer tailing breaks every single one of those descriptors except for starve. But they beat them, they cruelly treat them, they torment them with electroshock or even sticking them with knives and nails and needles to keep them work because the animals are being overworked. The same steer may be run as many as 15, 20, or 24 times. So we've seen as many as 24 runs of a single animal in the course of a day. And so they wear out, and then when they wear out and they're balanced, and just everything becomes less, they break. Mm-hmm. Their tails are literally stripped off their bodies. And this is cruelty that wouldn't be tolerated in, what we would call a third world.
Yeah.
In fact, Colombia, for instance, Colombia is the place where steer tailing is said to have begun. And Colombia, in just the last few weeks, banned it because they're moving forward. They said, we're not going to tolerate this cruelty. They banned the thing that started there. And it's going on in Illinois. We've been appealing to Governor Pritzker to take action. He has the Department of Agriculture, which is supposed to enforce humane laws in Illinois. It's actually, it's written in the law. They're the ones who are supposed to, be pushing it. And he's got the state police in places where they just refuse to enforce the law, which is our main problem is in Ogle County, Illinois. Mm-hmm. They just will not enforce the law. It doesn't matter what kind of abuse we bring to them. Lack of veterinarians for animals who are gravely injured, and just on and on. So Governor Pritzker, we just want him to enforce the law.
All right. So the law not being enforced, and both of you have said this a couple of times this morning, that the laws are being broken or that they're not being enforced. I mean, that they're two sides of the same conversation. And on a local level, and particularly in a specific county, if this is happening, what are county officials not doing, or how are county officials not being held to account for this not for laws not being enforced, or the other side of that, they're being broken. I think to me that seems to be a starting point.
Oh, that was our starting point. Yeah, Shark started reaching out to Governor Pritzker about a year ago. Before that, we went to the local board, the local sheriff, the local law enforcement, the local state's attorney, and absolutely every agency points at another. Ogle County, for example, we have gone to all of the board meetings in Ogle, Boone County, McHenry, DeKalb, and what we're hearing is, for example, in Ogle, Mike Rock, the state's attorney, sat at an ethics meeting back in May and said that we don't like this. We get this from everybody. We don't like it, but we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. And he literally stated that he wishes the state would take the lead on this. And then we get an email from Governor Pritzker saying that he cannot step over local authorities' power. So everybody is pointing the finger at another agency.
And everybody's right and everybody's wrong. Everybody's right that somebody else could do it, but everybody's wrong when they say they can't do anything. We all can do something. For instance, Shark has absolutely no authority whatsoever, and yet we go out and do the police work of gathering the evidence, and we've been doing the other work too of trying to push the law to as much as we possibly can. Any county board member can stand up and continue to stand up and demand change. Every county board member in any county can do that. Every state's attorney is definitely can step up. For instance, James Glasgow in Will County. He's a state's attorney well known for caring about animals, and he did stand up and he made change in his county. He started enforcing the law, and we can't even find any steer tailing right now in Will County.
Right.
In Boone County, it was the sheriff in Boone County. The state's attorney wouldn't do anything, but the sheriff, Scott Young, stood up and started pressing charges. That was the end of it in Boone County. But in Ogle County, for instance, they just refused. They sent an animal control person out one time. She ended up managing traffic for the rodeo or for these steer tailers, which was completely nuts. I mean, animals were literally being injured and killed in the arena. A horse had his leg broken at that time, and she was out directing traffic. So it's just completely, some places are trying to deal with the issue, and in some places, Ogle County being the worst, they refuse to do anything at all. They seem to have nothing but contempt for them.
You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and in studio with me this morning is Chicago Alliance for Animals Executive Director Jodie Wiederkehr, and on the phone with us is our guest, Steve from Shark. Great acronym, making it really simple for people to remember. One of the things that I don't want us to do is to point fingers by, calling out people who aren't doing the things that they should be doing without a end result to that. So my question for you guys, as leaders of these two wonderful groups that have been strong advocacy groups, is if you were to put together a business plan to say, here's how we're going to have impact on this that's immediate and long-lasting and has teeth in it, what would be the bullet points of that quote-unquote business plan or proposal, and who would it be directed toward?
Steve, do you want to take that?
Sure. We have laws in our country, and just like our rights, if our rights are not protected, we don't have rights. If the law is not enforced, then we don't really have laws. The business plan is simply that each entity, whether they be local, county, state, whether they be law enforcement or even civil, that each entity simply do its job. That's a business plan. I had an industrial. I owned a company that made industrial fasteners. We had a lot of different people. We had people that worked in the shop, people worked out of the shop, out on the street selling whatever, and everybody just had to do their job. I was no business whiz, but that was my business plan. Everybody knows what their job is, and everybody does it. So it's so strange with this issue. We've got all these different entities. Everybody has a role to play, and almost anybody could be a person who just really makes the law work or allows it to slide. And all we're asking is that everybody do what they can in government. The county board in any county has an important function, and as does the sheriff, as does the state's attorney, as do our legislators. Our legislators, we've been working on this issue now for 4 years. 4 years of extreme illegal animal abuse. But it's political in nature, and so everybody's afraid of it, and that's why everybody's pointing fingers. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, these people didn't point at somebody else and say it's their job. They took it on themselves. Martin Luther King never said, Reverend Abernathy's going to deal with this instead. No, Reverend Abernathy dealt with it along with Jesse Jackson, along with Martin Luther King, and that's what we should be doing, whether it's protecting our rights today, whether it's enforcing the laws today. The only way that we can see that this thing really works the way that it should, fairly, evenly, is for everybody to work together instead of everybody pointing at everybody else. And we just have to come together as Americans.
I'd like to add, I'm going to speak before McHenry County Board tomorrow at 2 different meetings. And what we're going to stress to them is that the law is clear, but obviously nobody's enforcing it. So as Steve mentioned, some of the steers are overrun, and that breaks the law. So what I'm going to pitch to them is that the steers can only be run once. That is how sanctioned rodeos work. Mm-hmm. At steer tailing events, they can be run so many times, and that's when animals have broken legs or their tail is ripped off, which is called degloving. So I'm going to urge them to introduce an ordinance or a resolution to only allow steers to be run once. The veterinarian on site has to be available and trained to treat both bovines and equines. I talked to a veterinarian on Monday who told me that she went to an event on August 16th, and she went only to treat and care for equines, while bovines are being degloved. So the veterinarian on site has to be able to treat both kinds of animals, and they have to be there from the beginning, from the minute the animals arrive to the minute the animals leave. And
so my question, though, to that is that written in law right now, or is that a goal?
That is a goal for the ordinances to create, because, we're trying to pass SB 45, which would prohibit the pulling or grabbing of a bovine by their tail for the purpose of entertainment or sport. But it's very difficult because we don't even know why, because the law is very clear. But to get what I just said as an ordinance, that's not going to pass as state law. We're trying to get the local boards to create an ordinance because they're telling us they don't want it in their communities. They don't want it in their towns. This is a way that we could knock it out.
So for events like that, then part of the event sponsor or the organization that's putting that event together, the ordinance would require that the veterinarian is able to serve more than just one type of an animal.
Well, mainly bovines and equines, because those are the 2 animals used for steer tailing. Right.
So this is where it kind of goes back to my question about the business plan or the proposal. This is where I think, and I'm just offering my suggestion, that one of the strengths that you guys probably have is to utilize what other county officials have done successfully and what they potentially have as ordinances in their area to show that it's working. Because a lot of times other organizations don't want to do anything if they don't have evidence that something else is working.
Sure. But the problem is there really isn't any.
There aren't any ordinances?
Some of the counties have, like McHenry, requires an on-site veterinarian. They require an EMT. And that is what we're also trying to get in other counties, is to require that on-site veterinarian, not just on call, because animals are going to be harmed whether there's a veterinarian there or not. Steve?
Yeah, Richard, we are pointing out everywhere we go. If we're pointing out that in Boone County, the sheriff did this. In Will County, the state's attorney did this.
Right.
We are pointing out this so that people can see there is a path, and it's a worn path. We've already gone down this, but some places, for whatever reason, are simply not interested in doing anything at all. And I won't speculate as to why that is.
Right.
But there's a lot of misinformation that's getting thrown out there. I mean, it's kind of interesting. We've got a drone team that documents this stuff because they won't let us in. So we document from the outside, off the property, in the air, and people will try and make it look like somehow we're the ones who are the troublemakers, but we're not. We're doing what journalists would do, or what police would do, as far as gathering information, gathering evidence, and they've used it in court, successfully. So we're doing everything we can. We follow the law, and we're encouraging others to simply follow the law. We have good laws on the books, but if they're not enforced.
They're not enforced, and the law is just a bunch of writing on paper.
Exactly.
So I knew that in us having a conversation this morning that we weren't going to be able to solve this problem today, but to bring some awareness to it was my goal, because it for me, things that happen locally are part of our regional and state concerns, and they're part of our national concerns. I would bet, I don't know this with any evidence to back it up, but I would bet that if we picked 10 states, irrespective of where they sit politically, they're red states or blue states, we'd probably find that this is an issue in other states other than just Illinois. So am I accurate or close in saying that, you guys?
Yes. The problem is we have to pass laws to protect animals, but unless there is an agency or a body enforcing the law, those laws are rarely enforced.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to animal advocates and outspoken people to make sure the laws that are passed are enforced. And just like Lincolnwood, there is a tortoise. I wanted to pitch Spur before. Spur has been stuck in a 3x5 display case for almost 35 years. We don't know exactly how long, but Lincolnwood has an ordinance that prohibits the keeping of wild animals. And she was trafficked from Africa, and she has been languishing in this artificial prison for decades. And so, that's an ordinance. It's not being enforced. We alerted the officials. Cook County has an ordinance that prohibits the sale of rabbits, and yet they have opted out of that ordinance. So we're just fighting against existing laws and ordinances, and it's incredibly frustrating. So we need anybody who cares about animals to help Shark and CAA help these animals stop their suffering.
Steve and Jody, thanks for being with us this morning, and wanted to shed light on something that local issue, national concern as well. And it's not just about caring for our pets, but it's about caring for animals in general. We're going to take a quick break. Guys, thanks for being with us this morning. We'll definitely find some time to have you back and give us some updates on what's happening. But thanks for taking time this morning. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor. Secure Future utilizes an indexed annuity tied to growth in the U.S. stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. That's right. No matter what happens in the market, your investment can never decline. Down years, you're insured against any losses. Boom years, your retirement account grows exponentially to increase your worth. Whether the market is up or down, Secure Future Investor can set you up with guaranteed money for life income. It's the difference between thinking you have enough money to retire and knowing you're getting that retirement check every single month for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. Over 40 years old? Call now. 888-509-2228. 888-509-2228. Sponsored by GP Agency, Inc., Raleigh, North Carolina. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial professional before making an investment decision.
WCPT Replay.
Thank God former U.S. Attorney Glenn Kirkland is here.
Listen, we've gone from government of the people, by the people, and for the people to government against the people. That's where we are right now. In all things Donald Trump is doing, he's trying to hurt the American people, right? And, the power that because look, no judge is going to save us. No prosecutor is going to save us. No politician is going to save us. If the Dems could have saved us, they would have done so already, right? They can't save us. It's up to us. And that's why I'm talking about how we have to wield our power. And we've got to get out there, far more frequently in the streets in far bigger numbers peacefully, because we're the only ones who have the power to stop government against the people.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
With Amazon Business, smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. Jimmy Kimmel returned to late-night television last night after a nearly week-long suspension. In an emotional monologue, he appeared close to tears and said he wasn't trying to joke about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. He also said that Erica Kirk forgiving the suspected gunman for killing her husband was a very beautiful moment.
That is an example we should follow. If you believe in the teachings of Jesus, as I do, there it was. That's it. A selfless act of grace, forgiveness from a grieving widow. It touched me deeply.
The audio is courtesy of ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports activists say drones have targeted a flotilla bound for Gaza.
The global Sumud flotilla says it was attacked during the night by unidentified drones and communications jamming. It adds that at least 13 explosions were heard on and around several flotilla boats, while drones or aircraft dropped unidentified objects on at least 10 boats. The activists aim to break the Israeli blockade of Gaza. No casualties were reported, but the flotilla says there's damage to the vessels and widespread obstruction in communications. Sumud posted a brief video showing what appeared to be an explosion on or near one of the vessels. There's been no immediate response to questions regarding the attack from the Israeli military. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Co-founder of the Autism Science Foundation, Allison Singer, says President Trump's announcement on Tylenol causing autism does not match scientific research.
We have done dozens and dozens of studies looking at vaccines as the potential cause of autism. We've looked at MMR to see if children who received MMR vaccine had a higher rate of autism. There was no relationship.
This is AP News. An acclaimed beauty and movie star of the 1960s and 70s has died.
Italian actor Claudia Cardinale was considered Italy's answer to Brigitte Bardot. She expected to become a teacher, but a beauty contest win brought her to the Venice Film Festival, where she caught the attention of the Italian movie industry. One of her earliest roles was in the 1958 comedy classic Big Deal on Madonna Street. Cardinale starred in over 100 movies and worked with leading directors in Europe and Hollywood like Federico Fellini in 8.5.
Della storia che mi hai raccontato non ho capito quasi niente.
Sergio Leone in Once Upon a Time in the West.
The last man who told me that is buried out there.
And Richard Brooks in the 1966 film The Professionals. She gained praise in 1963 as the goddaughter of a prince in The Leopard opposite Burt Lancaster, and played the princess whose prized jewel is targeted by David Niven in the original Pink Panther movie. Her agent says she died in Nemours, France at age 87. I'm Jennifer King.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Partial sunshine develops here for today. We'll see high in the low 70s. Winds out of the northeast around 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop, a low near 58. Thursday, a slight chance for rain showers. Blend of clouds and sunshine develops, high of 74 degrees. And by Friday, mostly sunny. We'll see a high around 80. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 68.
If you are 50 or older, it is recommended that you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can disrupt your life for weeks. If you're an adult, 19 to 49, with certain underlying medical conditions like asthma, diabetes, chronic heart disease, or COPD, vaccination is also recommended. Talk to your doctor about vaccination today and learn more at lung.org/protectyourself. Furnished by the American Lung Association in collaboration with Pfizer.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys. Welcome back for sure to the show. Henry and I are having some fun in here, just yucking it up. Like I've said before, what happens during the commercial breaks is where all the other good stuff is. All the cursing and the snarky language and all the things that we can't say on the air. I always say we can't say. We can say them on the air, but it comes with a penalty. Comes with the cost. Flag on the play. All righty. Great having Jodie and Steve with us this morning. One of the things that many folks can do, and I got a great text while we were on, if this is a concern of yours, and this is really a social issue as much as anything. It's not as much of a political issue, but there are political tools that we have to affect this. But check with the jurisdiction that you live in, and if this is something that's going on, then reach out to your county officials. Reach out to your state's attorney's offices. Anywhere in the country, if you've got this kind of thing happening, then we all need to address it. And like both Steve and Jodie said, it's something that we can work on together. Speaking of local issues and working on things together, with us this morning, we have a little special guest, special opportunity. Our good friend Kurt Hurner from Akron, Ohio, is on with us this morning, has helped us bring on someone that is doing the work that is incredibly needed right now, and that is to win local or state elections. So I'd like to welcome, of course, Kurt to the show this morning, as well as Mike Roberto, Democratic candidate for the Ohio State Senate's 27th District. Welcome, both of you guys, to Choose Views. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard.
Good morning.
And hey, real quickly, what happens during commercials stays during commercials.
Yes, this is true, because it's like some of the text that you and I have back and forth, and Kurt Mullett will be on with us in a little bit at 7:30. It's like some of the
we can be salty.
That's when we can be salty. So that's exactly right. First of all, Kurt, thanks as always for being with us, and thanks for bringing necessary attention to local candidates that are running. You and Kurt Mullett have done a phenomenal job of that. You in Ohio, Kurt in Indiana. So I want to give you your flowers right out of the gate and saying thanks for helping us get Mike on. As you guys know, Kurt Hurner is a stone cold Kent Stater, and everything Kent State has to roll through and roll across Kurt's desk as it relates to that wonderful university. So thanks, my man, for
Especially being... history.
Especially
and I
history.
can find a connection with it in history.
That's right. Mike, welcome to the show, man. I'm glad we were able to get you on, and let's talk about Ohio State Senate District 27. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there. Tell us a little bit about you in running for this seat. Let's pass the baton to you.
Well, great, Richard. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to share about State Senate District 27. It is a beautiful area. I should give people an idea of where it's at. It's in northeast Ohio between Cleveland and Akron, and it's actually projected to be one of the most competitive State Senate districts in 2026. So this is an important, race. State Senate District 27 includes all of Portage County and portions of Geauga and Summit counties. And the reason why I bring that up is because I'm really deeply rooted in the area, and I hope we can talk about Senate District 27 a little bit more. But just to talk a little bit about myself, I was, born and raised in the center of Portage County there in Ravenna. It's a county seat, and I'm a proud product of the public schools there. Went through their K-12. Like Kurt, I am a Kent State graduate. I got all of my degrees from Kent State. Graduated with a comprehensive science degree in biology and chemistry, where I went on to teach 34 years in education as a teacher, a coach, and a school administrator. I had 15 years as a biology teacher and chemistry teacher, and then the remaining part of that time, I was a school administrator, the last 5 as superintendent of the Aurora City Schools. So, like I said, deeply rooted in the area, and really, Senate District 27 is close to my heart.
Well, one of the things that is critically important right now, and you guys may have heard me say this earlier, and if you haven't, I'll say it again, but winning state elections is one of the best tools that we have in our toolkit to stave off some of the things that are happening on a federal level. Ms. Gravalia just won out in Arizona, and you're running in Ohio. We've got other people that we've been plugged into that are running in Ohio and in other states. When we win state elections, it changes so much because the way in which, just as an example, what's happening down in Texas wasn't initiated, as I said earlier, by the state, by the U.S. representatives in the state of Texas or the state senate of the U.S. senators in the state of Texas. It came from the state legislatures in terms of the redistricting conversation. And so having someone like you, Mike, be running for a state a Senate seat and winning is so important in changing the arc of what's delivered in the state of Ohio, whether it be on the economy, whether it be on health care or any of the environment, which I know are all big issues to you. So talk a little bit about why you see it's so important that there in Ohio and the rest of the country, we start winning back some state seats.
Well, I appreciate it because really what's happening, in my opinion, is that we have people serving in Columbus, here in Ohio, that are focused on kind of falling in line rather than standing up for the people of their particular district. And so to talk about, again, District 27, it is a microcosm of Ohio. I mean, we have the east side of the county is farms in Portage County, and then on the west side, it's more populated, and you have cities in suburbs of Summit County, and then right in the middle is Kent State University, a college town, so Kent there, and we need people advocating for their particular districts. Portage County, as an example, is one of only 3 counties out of the 88 in Ohio that support a bigger university, Kent State, a smaller college in the form of Hiram, and then medical and dental school in form of the NeoMed, the Northeast Ohio Medical University. And so it is important to have people who are, again, rooted in these areas so they can be advocates for certain issues. And for us, things like, especially when we have a lot of educational services like the universities, education is going to be a big one in Portage County, as well as economics, which is all across not only Senate District 27, but all of Ohio and the country.
So let's talk about the mix on the House side and on the Senate side. What are the numbers now? Republican and Democrat in the state?
Well, on the Senate side, there are a supermajority. There are 23 senators that are Republican and 9 that are 24. I'm sorry, Republican and 9 that are Democrats. So. This is one of the important pieces of getting more Democrats down in the Senate to get that supermajority off, so there's opportunities to have more conversations, because right now the Republicans are kind of running things through. For example, on the educational side of things, there's a big push for universal school vouchers, which is hurting public
yeah, I mean,
education.
they're gutting. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Mike, but they're gutting funding for schools, for public schools. Not just in your district, but throughout the state of Ohio. I mean, it's not talked about a lot, but it's one of the worst in the nation. And I'm not blaming you and Kurt. I mean, you guys are putting a spotlight on it. But talk about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I did get into this race, because what I have seen over the last 20 or so years is that erosion of support for public education in Ohio. I mean, I'm not sure how many people realize that Ohio's funding of public school children's education was first ruled unconstitutional way back from the state constitution way back in 1997 because it placed too heavy of a burden on local residents. And at that time, Ohio ranks 35th out of 50 states, so in the bottom half for providing support to public school kids. And Ohio, at that time, provided 45% of a school's revenue on average, came from the state. Today, Ohio is ranked 45th. Thanks to providing an average of only 38% of support to public schools. And so, we're headed in the wrong direction. In fact, in 2027, it's projected to be only 32%. So that erosion of support for schools is damaging and for public schools. And at the same time, universal vouchers are putting literally over $1 billion of public school funding towards private education.
That's insane. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and our guests this morning are our good friend Kurt Hurner from Akron, Ohio, and a Kent Stater to the max, and Mike Roberto, who is running for the state Senate seat in Ohio's State Senate District 27. Mike, let me ask you this question as it relates to the Democratic Party in Ohio. Where is the strength? What do citizens in the state of Ohio see and think of the Democratic Party on the state level, and then again, of course, in Portage County?
I think it's an opportunity for an alternative to what we have going on. In particular, as I mentioned, economic concerns are going to be an area that it concerns everyone across the political spectrum. So Democrats can bring in a different voice to that conversation. In particular, things like property taxes are something that everybody is struggling with. And in fact, in Ohio, there's a current push, and we hope we don't get there, of eliminating property taxes because through a vote, they're trying to get it on the ballot for 2026. And if that were to happen, that's about 29% of the state revenue comes from property taxes in Ohio. So that would be devastating. So I think Democrats can provide a advocacy and an alternative voice in Columbus from what we currently have.
So let's talk about some economic issues for a second. I mean, Ohio, for as long as I can remember, has always had been a state that represented a certain amount of things that were part of kind of that, I guess we could say the assumption of America was diversity, really four big cities, if you will, that represented opportunity for American workers. I mean, it represented so many things. And I used to say this about Ohio because my brother-in-law's from Massillon, or went to Massillon, is from the Canton area. And I used to remember thinking way back in the late 60s and early 70s, Ohio was a cool place because it had so many cool things happening with the sports, with the businesses that were there, the people that came from there, and the list goes on and on. And I'll be, I'm not being critical. I'm just like, it kind of pains me to think about how Ohio has slid from that sort of that luster that it had. And it seems as though it started with the economics of the state changing so dramatically with regard to the automotive industry and the other industries that are part of that. What's your take on that, Mike?
Yeah, I think I don't disagree with you. I mean, Ohio used to be one of those, purple states where, and I think all of our advocates down in Columbus understood that, and so they opened their ears more so and advocated for what was best for their particular district. So when we look at taxes in particular, I mentioned property taxes, but income tax I think is another thing that's kind of changing, and it's not making it user-friendly to the workers in Ohio. Income taxes in Ohio now we're dropping to a flat rate of 2.75%, where we're eliminating a top bracket of over $100,000 or more. which means that there's going to be $1 billion less dollars, estimated anyway, coming back into the state. So this adds to a concerning pattern that you alluded to since the late 20th century there, the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and then continuing on to the 21st century here, where Ohio's taxes for businesses have sort of shifted onto the backs of the residents more so. Mm-hmm. And so the workers in Ohio are really suffering. And I think that's kind of demonstrated in terms of things like loss of jobs as well as, population loss in Ohio.
Are you, I don't want to ask a closed-ended question, but what are your thoughts about the Democratic structural leadership in Ohio in terms of what the DNC on a national level and what the state Democratic leaders are, not the elected officials, but the ones that, quote, run the corporation of Democrats. Is there, and Kurt and I talk about this a lot, is there enough funding? Does there need to be more funding? I know that we've got some big national names with Sherrod Brown as part of it and Ms. Sykes. What structurally do you think needs to change there?
Well, I do think there's room for improvement all around. We always have room to improve in that sense. And to be honest, I don't think we're ever going to outrace the Republicans. But what we need to do is get enough support and structures in place so that we can get the message out there of what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do is, watch out for the common person, the workers. We're trying to promote this idea of public education, affordable housing, and reduction of property taxes, and provide opportunities for growth in Ohio. And I'll give you a quick example. In my opinion, Mike DeWine, Governor DeWine, came out and was explaining that, universities need to recruit better. Yet what's happening is in Ohio is with something like a Senate Bill 1 that was passed that is basically limiting universities and hurting universities, the state legislators actually undermining opportunities for young people to come and stay in Ohio so we can kind of grow that economy. So that's something that I think the Democrats can do better is talk about those alternatives and how the state can grow in terms of both economically and bringing people into the state more.
Yeah, particularly with the universities that Ohio has been known for decades, being one of the great states to go to get a great education. And that's one of the things that I've always thought about or think about when it comes to Ohio. As we wrap up, let me ask you maybe an environment question. As someone that's running for state office, and you look at all the things that are going on in the state, having been known for a long time as an industrial state because of employment, where a lot of the employment was for decades. Where does the state sit now, in your observation, as a green or green-esque state, and what are some of the things that you want to do or see the state do when it comes to improving the environment that is the state of Ohio?
Sure. Yeah, well, and this is where Senate District 27, this is what's so cool about Senate District 27, because it has all kinds of green spaces in it to promote this environmental aspect. There are 25,000 acres of parks in that Tri-County area, and between the county and state, there's actually over 50 parks, and we host the only national park in Ohio in terms of the Cuyahoga Valley. So taking advantage of that in combination of the over 2,000 farms of various sizes and function in the district is what we need to do and try to promote and coming up with ways to support them from Columbus. I'll give you a quick example in Kent, and this is actually a Kent State example in particular. They recently constructed over 2 sections of land. I think it's close to 23 acres. It's like over 13,000 solar panels that produce about 10% of the university's main campus university's electricity in there. And the city of Kent is also committed to, solar through the creation of like a climate action plan that they have in place. So they hired a sustainability coordinator to help implement the plan, and they're currently looking to themselves at I believe it's a 15-acre brownfield area that they're trying to potentially put solar panels on for electricity for the city as well. So some of those innovative ideas where you take advantage of the natural resources like the Cuyahoga River here that flows all throughout the district in combination with, like I said, those ideas of something like the solar issues that Kent State have going on are things that we can improve on.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense. Kurt, just one simple thing I want to run through you real quickly. What do you want to see for Mike and his campaign, and what are some of the opportunities that you see that are there for him?
Well, I'll tell you, I will not be able to vote for Mike Roberto because I am actually not in his district. I'm actually in Casey Weinstein's district, which is 27. But aside from the obvious, I want him to win. To get that majority, up or get the seats up. But, I just want him to be able to go and speak to maybe the three legs of the people that don't necessarily get involved. The disenfranchised Democrats that somewhat left the party or don't believe in the party anymore because they feel they've lost their way. I want the independents to be talked to, and I want the normal Republicans, not the MAGA Republicans, but the normal Republicans who may have voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris behind closed doors, but, still want to be considered Eisenhower or whatever Republicans. I want Mike Roberto to connect with those people. I want him to be able to talk their language and go out into the district and say, I hear you, I understand you, and this is what I hope to do for you, but I need to know what you want from me in order to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that we as Democrats do know that we've got to do a better job of. And, the opportunity for you, Mike, to be able to take what Kurt said and really expand that is huge, because we know we have better ideas across the board, whether it be our federal folks, whether it be our state folks, our local people. Our ideas are better for a larger swath of people.
And if I can say something, Richard, remember, Mike, John Barber, frequent guest on Choose Views, whom Richard and I have spoken with a few times, he only lost to Bruce Turkowski by 1.4% in the last election. And had 3,000 Portage County voters gone out and voted for him, he could have been sheriff of Portage County today. So I want to see you try and reach to that 1.4% that, John Barber was
not able to get. Yeah. I mean,
not able to get. And yeah, go ahead.
But that's kind of the national thought, though, for all of us, is getting more folks in that, whether it be on a state level or on a national level, in the mix, voting, participating, all the above, so that we can make sure that our ideas are stronger. We got to wrap up, guys, and I know you both know that. But let's make this the right thing as we break away. Mike, how can folks find you? How can they follow you? How can they get involved?
Well, thank you, Richard. Yeah, if someone would like to find out more about our campaign, they can go to our website. It's at www.roberto4ohio. That's the number 4.com. And we have all of our information talking from economics to education to the environmental pieces in there. And there's also opportunities to, if they're in the area, to volunteer or to donate.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kurt Hurner from Akron, Ohio. Mr. Kent State, for helping us get Mike on, and thanks for your comments. Mike, thanks for being with us this morning. Both of you guys stay safe. We got to hit this break, but we appreciate you being with us this morning.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Bye now. Okay, let's take this quick break. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. That's 800-708-3091.
Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor. Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Visit managerbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back is correct. Glad you're with us. Great to have Mike Roberto with us, who's running for state senate in District 27 in the state of Ohio. So check him out, and if there's a way for you to support him and get involved, then by all means do that. Ohio's got some issues. They've got some funding issues. They've got a number of things going on there that I can say, going back to Bush II's first election, have been just problematic, and they haven't really kind of righted the ship since then. But here we are, and so our opportunities are to make things better in that state and kind of get it back to being purple. Unfortunately, we lost the Senate seat. We've lost the Senate seat there. And we want to get one of those back. And we lost it to someone that is really not necessarily good for the state. It's all about, the access to power in Bernie Moreno. And he just threw a ton of money at it. So there you go. It's Wednesday, and we had a little bit of a change in our scheduling today, but that's all because we've got good folks who are just fair-minded and flexible and allow us to make things happen. And since it's Wednesday, that means that Hoosier Blue 63 has decided to land his power jet with us this morning, and that's how I get to welcome my good man, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. I made you laugh.
Good morning. You always make me laugh, man.
Wow.
Amongst other things. And not to downplay the problems in Ohio, because they definitely have theirs, but they pale in comparison to Indiana. Let me tell you.
Well, that's why I was trying to give a little bit of props to both you and we got Kurt squared today in terms of what you guys are doing to help with regard to local election and attention to local matters. I mean, Kurt is doing a great job in Ohio, and you, Kurt, are doing a great job in Indiana. And it just speaks to the commitment of folks who are Democrats, who are loyal to our better ideas, not just loyal to the party, but loyal to our better ideas and our better way of governing. We don't get it right enough. And we've got a lot of folks that need to be either encouraged to do better, or they need to move on and let younger, stronger voices in the mix. And you've been a big advocate of that. So it's good to see that even though we've got these problems, that we've got people that are stepping up to bring a better voice, a different voice to the conversation. So thanks for what you do there.
Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. And you're part of the glue. But and I know we got other things to talk about, but in Indiana, just to let you know some of the things that's going on here, our wonderful Secretary of State, Diego Morales, who, people who are not familiar with Indiana don't know the story behind him, but he has tons of controversy behind him of just sexual misconduct and all kinds of things. But he created a job for his brother-in-law that pays his brother-in-law, I think it's $110,000 a year, a job that never existed in our state, okay? Well, Diego has turned 5 million Hoosiers voting registration information over to the felon.
He did. I know there was a request for that. So they did in fact provide that information to the felon in the White House. Or to
his office said that they provided the personal information. So it came from his office. So
wow. There's some things that I hear, and I just there's two things that happen. It emotionally, it disappoints me, and not disappoints me because that would mean to say that I had an expectation, as I've stated before. It just pisses me off. Let's just call it as it is. I'm trying to be righteous here with my radio responsibilities, but all right. So then we got to stay on top of that, because if you said so many on time, you said this so many times. Indiana is a testing ground for what Project 2025 and its advocates and supporters want to see for other parts of the country. Indiana has got the supermajority in the wrong direction for pretty much all of the statewide offices: governor, lieutenant governor, AG, secretary of state, and the imbalance of your state legislature. So you're right. It is a testing ground or a petri dish, if you will.
Maybe those aren't the right words. I mean, I thought of something the other day. We've created a new company here in Indiana. It's called Bootlickers Incorporated. So that's what we got going on here in Indiana. Bootlickers Incorporated, because that's what they are.
Yeah.
They
and there's some nasty boots too.
It's some nasty boots. It's some that's been trodden out there on the farmland.
I knew you were going to say that.
Through all kinds of it.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to keep it clean, because if you want to violate the
why are you going to blame it on me? Why are you going to put it on me?
I'm not going to do that. I mean, if you want to be the next Jimmy Kimmel, go right ahead.
Well, that was a pretty adept pivot. Nice job.
Thank you.
Listen,
I wanted
y'all.
to get there because I knew I started off on the wrong.
No, it's not on the wrong. I mean, the lead-in was perfect, because Hurner and I were talking about something that's super important, and that's how a state that's gone from purple to red, we've got to fix that. And Indiana has been red for a long, long time. But we've got our blue dots like yourself that are holding up the tent. So no, we got to talk about those things too. But we also get to make fun. I love it. Bootlickers Incorporated. Man, there
you go.
Wow. That's pretty good. Listen, man. Let's make this kind of soft pivot. Last week we knew what happened to Brother Kimmel, and how that situation got. But I wanted to go back to something that you posted about not so much about Kimmel, but about the events that took place last week. And you guys, I always tell everybody to make sure that you follow Kurt Mullett of Hoosier Blue 63. Because some of the things that he posts just will make you chuckle, will make you laugh out loud, and snort all at the same time. But one in particular that you posted was about smart people. Trump saying smart people don't like me.
Right. Yeah.
There's a reason that smart people don't like him, and that the phrase that he made, statement he made a few years ago about loving the poorly educated. And that doesn't mean educated in a formal sense in terms of college or furthering one's education. It's just people that are not educated and aware of what's happening. They can't be they're so easily okey-doked. And that's where we are. Did you see, Kurt? Did you see that just incredibly embarrassing, disgusting speech and presentation at the UN? I mean,
Oh yeah.
Good Lord.
I didn't watch the whole thing because I can't stomach too much of that dude. But I took in the bits and pieces that I needed to take in order just to figure out. I mean, what an embarrassment! I made a little reel about it yesterday and posted it. He's just an embarrassment. He without a doubt, there's no comparison to, I would say, any politician that our country has ever had. We've had some, embarrassing politicians in the past who have said certain stupid things at certain times, but this guy just continuously does that. To go to the UN and berate people like he did, and just to talk about his hat and. I mean, unbelievable. He's an embarrassment. He is an embarrassment to our country. And how, my reel, what I said at the end, how anybody, and I say this all the time, it boggles my mind how anybody, I have this picture in my head. There's fascists sitting there at home when he's watching old Donnie Trump on TV, and he says, yeah, that's the guy I'm going to vote for. Who does that? Who thinks like that? How can you sit there and watch that guy and listen to him and come away? It's a mystery that I don't know will ever be solved or will ever be revealed. It boggles a normal human being's mind how I don't know.
What's so fun about our segments, for me at least, in a very selfish way on my part, is to feel the exasperation welling up in you as it relates to and I say that with all the love that you would say for and to a good friend. Is that just to feel how your exasperation is like, I don't even know what other words I can put towards it. But there you go.
I just hope Pam's listening to this white boy making fun of white boys, okay? Because I have no problem doing it at all.
Well, I got to put together.
I understand.
I got to put together sort of our disparate group of progressive liberal Democrats so we can all get together and you can meet Pam because you guys do not pull any punches with your statements. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. So listen, man, let's dip our toe into this sort of media Jimmy Kimmel conversation. I sent a couple articles, a couple things to chat about. The first one I want to get to is you guys, John Oliver had a really, and Kurt and I have been saying versions of this for a while, particularly with this sort of acquiescence by corporations and other entities, law firms and all the rest. John Oliver, and I'll give you guys the cleaned up, edited version of what he said. And you guys should check out his show from, I think it was like last night. No, it was night before last. Basically, John Oliver says this. The headline is, John Oliver tells CEOs to say, blank you, make me, to Donald Trump. The blank you is the F word that ends with a K. You guys know what I'm talking about. And make me. So I kind of like this way of approaching things, Kurt, and more CEOs right now. I've been saying this for a long time, and so have you and many, many others. Just look at the power that you have. Why would you give up your power? And I know that some will say, well, it's because of a deal they're trying to get cut. Listen, if your first responsibility isn't to this menace, orange menace in the White House. Your first responsibility as a CEO is to your shareholders and making sure, if you're a public company, and making sure that they're taken care of and not making sure that the dude in the White House is taken care of. Now, I know some will say, Richard, that's because of their selfish reasons and they want to stay in good favor. I get all of that. But the real power move, at least in my mind, and I know, Kurt, you probably similarly think about this, is to tell Donald Trump to go bump himself, and or make me change how I run this organization or how our executives run this organization. Make us, And if enough CEOs, male, female, black, white, whatever community, all stood together and said, and college university presidents and chancellors all stood together and said, no, Donald, we aren't going to bend the knee to you, bump you, and start outing what he tries to say in private to them in public, people would go, I think it would stand for something. Maybe I'm crazy. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with that. I think that should be done on all in many different ways, on many different levels, about many different subjects. Not only just in corporate America and the rich, but on our state levels with the taxes. That I mean, it's proven that Democratic states give more money than we take, most of them, and but this is all about money, and this is why so many of these corporate bigwigs are aligning themselves behind him and have aligned themselves within the Heritage Foundation and Project 2025 for so long, because this is all about money, and they knew where this guy was going to take them as far as their wallet was concerned. They don't care about tariffs, and they don't care about what it's costing the consumer, and people need to realize that. And I think slowly they are starting to understand a little bit, because we are just at the infant stages of these tariffs, and he's going to make a wreck of our economy. I mean, the farming industry is wailing right now, and I don't see how they're going to, to recover from this in a short period of time. And of course, now all the farmers want a socialistic society because they want handouts to help them. So it's just amazing how these people talk for years about, calling us socialist commies when they don't understand the meaning of the word, and they're standing there now wanting checks from the government. So, and this thing with Kimmel and David Smith and Sinclair Broadcasting, people need to realize it's all tied together. David Smith donated $250,000 to Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk last year. Okay, so
yep.
and they're all tied within, Brandon Carr and Project 2025 and this whole movement. This is all tied together. Okay, this is not just
a one-off
dudes acting on their own. Yes, these people are working in unison together to destroy our democracy. And I think what's happening now with some of the people out there on the right, even the extremists, well, not the extremists, but those that are kind of moderate on the right, they're starting to see that, wow, this could reach, what if I say something negative about him, could this affect me? And people are starting really, but the simple fact that they're, this is Hitler-like. This is what Hitler did. He controlled the media. He and this all started with the fake news.
Yep.
This has not been just something that occurred. This fake news and bashing the media for years on end. This is a slow progression that we have gotten to this point. He has alienated the media against most of the country, and the funny thing is that the one media who paid the heaviest price for lying is
still operating and still spewing. Listen. I said this last week.
It's laughable.
Brian Kilmeade advocated for people to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
Advocated for people to be killed. God's children.
Just killed.
Human folk.
Yeah.
Involuntary euthanasia.
Mm-hmm.
And he is still on the air. I could give a darn about him still being on the air, to be honest with you. Fox should be out of business for letting him still be on the air, because they're advocating for a person that is an employee of theirs. Where is Van Orden, the guy from Wisconsin, running his mouth about folks having anything to say that's ill at the Mayo Clinic about Charlie Clerk, but he's not saying a damn thing about the dude from Fox advocating for euthanasia, for killing folk. So Fox should be out of business for that, in my humble opinion.
So you tell me if anybody heard what Jimmy Kimmel said, it was not anything that was really. I mean,
he spoke the truth.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot worse things said about this situation than what Jimmy Kimmel said. And you're going to take his show off the air, but you allow that dude to sit there and say, self-euthanization or just kill him. I mean, the double standards in this country are mind-boggling. And these people on the right who are coming after us on the left, calling us radical lunatics, violent radical lunatics, and they all want to go back to the BLM riots, okay?
Yep.
This is their main talking point on social media. Anytime you bring anything up, January 6th or whatever, well, what about the BLM riots? Well, what about them? What about them? I mean, are you serious? Hang your hat on something else, but that's the only hook you have, and it's a hook that's hanging on the wall with one screw. I mean, it's ridiculous how blind these people are. I mean, it's been proven. There was a study done between 2013 and 2022 of the 444 murders, I believe it was, that were committed by extremists in this country. Okay, 75% were committed by right-wing extremists, and only 4% were committed by left-wing extremists, and the rest were a mixture of people. So when you look at the actual data and the facts, it's actually the opposite of what they're saying. But this is what they do.
Yeah.
Every accusation is an admission of guilt, and that's what people need to understand. This is what these guys do. So
I'm so happy that we get and this is what has to happen. And I want more people to participate in this process of getting it out of their system, because there's a lot of people, I believe, and I'm not being critical, I'm just trying to be encouraging. Get this stuff out. Talk about it. Follow the follow the Kurtz of the world and all the rest of us that are yelling about this, because one, it's good for your soul to get it out. It doesn't stay bottled up. But two, you're going to probably touch or reach somebody that needs to hear about the connection between the dudes at Sinclair, Project 2025, Charlie Kirk, and the White House. That people don't, like you said in your post, what a crazy web that we weave in terms of how these folks are all intertwined. It needs to be out there. So we get to share this information. Shout out to my girl, Sarah Jones at The Daily for some of the great stuff that she posts. Shout out to you. Shout out to Kurt in Ohio, Kurt Hurner in Ohio, and all the rest. We have to keep doing that and not have our voices silenced. And I want to have a little bit of fun, more fun. We have been having fun this morning, and just kind of go through some of the insanity. The right is kissing the behind of many people, but two that are just like, where are they in the planet? Laura Loomer. that was Henry, y'all, in the background, and Megyn Kelly.
Oh man,
trash talking black folks, trash talking black women. And the right is gobbling it up, and then now we've got people again trash talking this situation with Kimmel. He's back on the air, had a great show last night. I don't know if anybody saw it or not, but the part with De Niro was just epically good and such well-written comedy. You guys got to check out Kimmel's return last night. I didn't watch it in its entirety. I caught bits and pieces. But the part that he does with Robert De Niro is stone cold brilliance. Did you get a chance to see that at all, Kurt?
No, I didn't. I really don't watch network television at all. So, and I haven't. I got up thinking I was on an hour earlier, so I didn't get to watch anything this morning.
Sorry about that.
Richard, you and I, a black guy and a white guy, have been talking about this for a long time. This is all about racism. This is all about white supremacy. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about Project 2025 and eliminating the population in our country and making this a white country again. That's what everything that is being done is about. I mean, just look at the fact of we have a black man, Trey Reed, who was hung by a tree. They're calling it a suicide, and I said this last week, but there's evidence that it was anything but that. And are we talking about that? Do you hear his name being hit? No, we talk about a bigoted, misogynistic racist who was killed by one of his own nonstop. But we don't talk about trade. The fact that black men are being hung from trees in this country in 2025 should be freaking alarming to every single individual in our country.
Yep.
But it's not. There are people applauding it, and that is appalling to me.
And that's the part
it makes me sick.
So hypocritical. So this is the hypocritical part. Charlie Kirk, again, this is why I said I'm going to do my best to talk a little about him. If it's peripheral stuff, then I'm going to kind of have to say certain things. But that's a good example. You got a politician from Wisconsin saying that if employees of a hospital that serves his community and many others, if employees happen to say something ill about Charlie Kirk, then he's going to push to reduce funding. Meanwhile, a black man gets hung in the state of Mississippi, and there's people running around upset that people are saying things about Charlie Kirk, but not a damn thing about people who are saying nasty things, and this young man deserved to be hung. Yeah, so we live in yes, it is racism, it is sexism, it is white Christian nationalism and privilege. That's in my mind, I say it all the time because it's what I believe is a starting point. And until people put their heads on that and lean into that, that's everything we're looking at, the executive orders, the state redistricting, all of that stuff, federal funding, it's all designed to take the will away from those from those two of those groups of people that I just mentioned, women, of course, and people of color. It's that simple. It's not complicated, guys. It ain't complicated.
Right. Right. I mean, all you got to do is look at the memorial or the KKK rally they had in Arizona, and listen to the speeches that were made.
Yep.
I mean, you want to talk about a hate-filled. It was unbelievable. I'm going to talk about Stephen Miller because that little punk. I mean, here's a dude that suffers from the Napoleon complex in a major way. Okay, he always has, and you know he plagiarized words from Goebbels from Germany.
Yep.
From Nazi Germany. He used his exact words.
Yep.
Maybe changed a few of them, but
close enough.
But close enough. I mean, people are not alarmed by this, and they don't understand. You know, I mean,
yeah, I know, man.
It's just crazy. But hey, we're the violent ones because the BLM rats.
You feel better now?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go out and do some yard work now because I need to work some of this off.
That's right, because you love yard work. All right, man.
Out of training. So.
Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, hanging with me on a Wednesday. Thanks, man, for always being with us, and thanks for all the hard work that you're doing, and your posts are extraordinary, so keep up the great work, okay?
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on. And pay attention to Bootlickers Incorporated, okay?
All right, man. Be well, Kurt. Have a good rest of the day.
Have a great one. All right, you too.
Bye-bye. Wow. Okay, sorry if you guys couldn't hear a doggone thing we said over the laughter that we put upon you, but it happens that way sometimes. Thanks to Jody and Steve for being with us this day in terms of caring for all animals. Thanks for Kurt Hurner from Ohio, and Mike Roberto, who's running for the 27th District State Senate seat, and my man Henry for keeping us on the rails. Guys, take a deep breath and make your life count, and also smile at a stranger today. See you tomorrow.
Still struggling with gas, bloat, constipation, nausea, or diarrhea? Have you tried eliminating foods but felt no change? It's time to call the tummy whisperer, Renee Barish at Digestive Health Solutions. Renee uses targeted testing to reveal exactly what's happening in your gut. Gut bacteria plays a key role in all your body functions, from cardiovascular regulation to brain function. When the gut is imbalanced, you may experience symptoms that extend beyond the gut, such as anxiety, skin issues, poor sleep, or increased risk for disease. Digestive Health Solution uses advanced testing to identify harmful microbes and evaluate the overall balance of the gut ecosystem. Get insights into your health, digestion, and how your microbiome affects all aspects of your body. Stop suffering. Call Renee now at